Test. Okay, I hope this works. Hi everyone, my name is Shayla and today we're gonna decode some academic Chinese papers. For everybody that doesn't know me yet, I am, as I said, Shayla. I am a Sinology major in my master's currently. I just came back from an exchange from China, so I thought I would make a video for my advanced learners. Of course, my beginners can also watch this video, as I feel like this step-by-step guide on how to decode academic Chinese papers can also be translated into reading short stories or the texts that you have in your textbooks and stuff like that. Before we get started though, I wanted to say that your motivation, your mindset is really, really important for this, because if you see pages and pages and pages over of blocks full of Chinese characters, no pictures, no, not even little placeholders between those texts, it's just a block of Chinese characters, you will feel quite overwhelmed for sure. Coming in with perfectionism is wrong, because that's how I did it. I wanted to be perfect in every sense for my academic Chinese. However, it doesn't work. You have to come in with curiosity, of course, but still, making mistakes is okay. It is normal. We are not native speakers, nor will we. Maybe we will be like native speakers sometimes, who knows? But it takes a lot. It really does take a lot. If you're reading newspapers, if you're reading research articles, or if it's just a formal document, you're living in China right now, you are planning to go to China, this is the way to do it. First, what you need to read a text in general is a good dictionary. Please, guys, a dictionary. So you can have a manual dictionary. I have some of those here at home, but they're not really that useful if you're going somewhere or you're currently on holidays. You have to write a paper, so it's a bit nasty to carry them all the time. So I suggest you get Pleco. I feel like if you're a Chinese learner, you have to have Pleco. It's, in my opinion, the most useful digital dictionary. And you can also download extensions. I have the full extensions with the picture recognize, and also extensions of dictionaries, so the German ones especially, and of course additional English ones. But it's also quite useful to have for ancient Chinese texts if you get the ancient Chinese extensions, because there are a lot of proverbs that come into these research papers, academic papers, because there's going to be citations, and it's good to have a handy dictionary that has both the vocabulary, the sentences, proverbs, and stuff like that in general. The next thing is, of course, optional, but I think in the beginning it really helped me to stay focused and not look up that much on dictionaries. So if you realize that conjunction words or in general verbs or stuff like that are coming up a lot, write them down in a list. Make a list of conjunctions especially, and I really can recommend that, especially for 书面语. So I don't know if you have encountered that yet in your studies, since I assume if you're watching this video that you're an HSK 4 plus if you want to read academic Chinese. But 书面语 are basically words, for my learners that don't know that word yet. Yeah, these are words that are just used in texts, it's basically academic words. They are not really used when you speak. So you have to kind of, they're mostly abbreviated. So you have to kind of look them up again and then find the meaning and try to explain it. Maybe even with your own Chinese, for example, a word that always comes up in research papers is 因子. So if I were to speak and want to say that, you would just say 因为这个 or something like that. It's really easy actually, but it's really nice to have a list of those words and then try to write the meaning of it in Chinese. Do not write it in English. I think that's like a big crucial step on how to spot these kinds of 书面语 and conjunctions and linking words, stuff like that, or just verbs in general that come up a lot. Try, if you can, to paraphrase it with your Chinese, even though it's limited. It doesn't matter, just try to, and if it doesn't, write in brackets in English again what it means, or your mother tongue, of course, so you know what it's about. Anyway, I talked too much about 书面语 right now, but that was like a huge topic when I was starting out with newspapers, articles and stuff like that. Come up with a color scheme, for example. Verbs are blue and nouns are red, linking words yellow and stuff like that. Repetitions in green, or proverbs, for example, in pink. It doesn't really matter, but just have a color scheme. I think that's really important. But now, after we have talked about all these logistics, let's call it like that, I feel like the first step into reading an academic paper is just skim through the paper first. Even though you just see blocks and blocks of Chinese, it doesn't matter. Just go through it. Try to identify words or something that pops up that you feel like, oh, this is familiar, I know this. Especially headers, subtitles, of course the title itself, maybe some keywords. Sometimes you have it listed in the abstract. Some keywords. Do I know these words? Is this something familiar? Have I seen it somewhere already? Or even just a syllable of the word. Do I know this character? Can I find a word that has this character in it? It doesn't matter. It's just a way of training your memory and to actively use it. So after you identify these topic words and key verbs, for example, as well, even more important, after just skimming through, the first thing I did when I started out with these really complex texts, I took the first paragraph and translated it into English. You can use Deeper for that, you can use AI for that, ChatGPT or any other translation app that you use, but it's really good to have a quick idea in your mother tongue, in English, or it doesn't matter, what is this text about. So when you then start to identify the sentences and start going through the sentences, you already have an idea of what it could mean. So it makes the whole looking up words easier and having a feeling for the text itself, and not being just looking for words in the dictionary and then in the end you still have no clue what the text was about. So really, if it's your first time, of course, translate it. It's not a sin to translate it beforehand. Translate it, read it through, and then you know. So, but of course you can also skip this part. It's if you are progressively learning like this and you've come across quite a few papers already, you won't really need that anymore. You can just go start reading the sentences and the paragraphs and the paper itself. I mean, you can skip this part, of course, and do the whole analysis, and then in the end translate it, or translate it yourself and read it again just to have the whole context in your head again. But it's really optional, so you can also skip it if it's your first time, but I just thought for me it gave me a sense of security before going really in to read it. Afterwards, when everything is done, you have to start reading the text. So you can start by breaking long sentences into subject, verb and object. So for example, I have this source which I have to analyze. It's a essay by Mao Zedong, and we have a big chunk of text, so it's like 33 pages or something of this text, and it's just going through. And in the beginning it looks very, very scary, I know, but what I really, really love to do, and what helped me a lot, even though it's very time consuming, I know, but I just take the first sentence, I ignore everything afterwards, and I go through each sentence. So the first one being here, 中国人找到马克思主义是经过俄国人介绍的. So what is the subject? What is the verb? I have no clue. So I'm trying to look at it again. So we have 中国人. This could be the subject. And then we try to find a verb, and we have 找到. So this is probably the verb, and what is the object? And then you also have another sentence next to it, which is the 经过俄国人介绍的. And this could be maybe a passive, so I already know what 介绍 means, but if you don't know it, it's really difficult, because now you have two verbs. But of course you have the at the end, so this makes it a indicator that it could be passive. So these are these kinds of little things that you have to really pay attention to, and try to find the subject, the verb, and the object. What did the Chinese find? They found Marxism, but through whom? Who introduced them? We have 介绍的. So somebody introduced them to finding the Marxism. So who was that? And then you have 是经过俄国人. So it is through the Russians that they found Marxism. This is the kind of logic you have to go through. I know it's very tedious, but the thing is, of course, when I explain it, it sounds very complicated and it's too much. Why would I do it out? But that is the thing, basically, what your brain does when you try to understand the language, when you're just starting out, especially if it's a complicated text like this. So another step that is also really important, as I've said with the 书面语, really do mark them, because they're so important on making sense of this whole thing. Write down the pinyin, write them down in a list, so you have them as a summary, so you can easily go check in if you see it again, or if you don't remember correctly anymore, because they're gonna come up really, really often and frequent. So after looking for these linking phrases, I feel like these sentence structures are gonna make more sense to you, especially if it's like a sentence that goes on and on and on and just doesn't have any period anymore. So break them into small chunks, analyze, where's the subject here? Is this a linking word? Stuff like this. After you've skimmed through the whole paragraph and you marked the linking words and everything, and verbs and subjects and after all this, you need to summarize the paragraph. And this is the thing, do it in Chinese. Do not do it in your mother tongue. Do not do it in English or your secondary language. I don't care. Do it in Chinese. Do it in your own words. Take those 书面语 words, make them as you say them in speaking. So don't use the 书面语 as they are in the text. Use them and how you would tell a friend in Chinese, for example. So try really to use those words. That's also kind of a memory training for you as well, to get familiar with it and understand the concept of this text. So if this kind of feels challenging, I mean, that's good. That's the way it has to be. You have to kind of learn something. Nothing just comes into your hand presented like it's the easiest thing in the world. It's not like that. It means that you are stretching your reading muscles. You're actually doing something. Your brain is working. And my tip would be to do this 10 to 15 minutes every day. If you're starting out, it's your first time, you really want to get into academic Chinese, or you have to through a university, I don't know your situation, but do this 10 to 15 minutes for one paragraph. Really get really accustomed to. You can take one newspaper's article, maybe 4 to 5 pages, and let's say one page has 3 paragraphs. Take 1 paragraph a day. So you're gonna be quite busy for maybe a week, 2, doesn't matter. But you will soon see that the first paragraph is tough, and then you're gonna go through the second one. And it seems a bit easier because you saw already some linking words, so you already kind of feel familiar with the structure. And then comes the third, and then you will soon realize that you just went through with this step by step through a whole page in maybe half an hour. So that's the thing. I think just the most time-consuming thing is to look up these words on dictionaries, but try to save them. On Pleco, for example, you can make flashcards as well, so you can just save the word and put them into different files, so you can have them as flashcards and try to study those words afterwards. But just do not rush through it. Be consistent. I think that's the most important thing. And you can pick articles from everything that you want. You can go onto JSTOR, for example. There's a free platform to find academic papers by peers or overviews or literature reviews, whatever. It's you can find anything on there basically. Maybe pick something that you like, maybe something about beauty, or what else is there? Maybe you're completely into science, then do something about science. If you're into the Chinese politics, and then read something about the Chinese politics. It doesn't really matter. Last but not least, what I also wanted to mention is that there are a lot of existing resources. So not only you have JSTOR, which I mentioned for native papers that are written by natives. You can also go on and use AI and ChatGPT as your assistance through reading it. It doesn't really matter, as long as you actually take your time and go through it and just be consistent with it. But for example, there is also a channel which is called SYS Mandarin. They are on YouTube, and I really do like them. They offer videos 10 to 15 minutes, I think, going through daily news, basically once in a week or something like that. And they read with you Chinese papers, and basically what they do is the same that I just told you, step by step. They take one sentence, introduce the subject, introduce the verb and the vocabulary in general, and then try to read the sentence and then make sense of it in English or any other language. So there is a way to learn it, and I feel like it's just a matter of getting accustomed to this very tedious work, and it's gonna become a routine. You're not gonna even actively think of it to look up these words, to write it down, to look for this pattern in sentences. I feel like so. And you can use this everywhere. I know it's kind of cliche, this whole thing. I didn't maybe tell you much new, but there's no way of coming around it differently, because it's just very difficult and it takes a lot of time and lots and lots of reading. But that's what it is. It's reading academic Chinese papers. So if you like this, please leave me a like or a comment. I don't mind. And I'll see you hopefully in my next video. Maybe give me some ideas on what you want to hear, what you want to see more. I'm not really sure, but this is something right now that's been on my mind really lately with these academic papers. I just constantly have to read primary sources, so I thought I would share my view and my step-by-step guide. yeah, thank you again for your attention, and hopefully see you soon. Bye bye.